19 of their last 21 games. They're just 3.5 games behind the Lakers in the West. Chris Paul, Dennis Schroeder combined for 51 points for the Thunder. They beat the T-Wolves 113-104. Kyrie Irving with 45 points. The Nets snap a 5-game skid. They top the Pistons in overtime 121-111. Bulls upend the Cavs 118-106. College hoops, a late scare in Lawrence for third-ranked Kansas.
Garrett finds Dotson right side. KU by 4. Dotson from 15 feet, swish.
And that's a better shot for Devon. He got his feet under him right at the free throw line. The previous one kind of leaning to the right. So big shot by Devon right when Kansas needed it.
Call coming from Learfield IMG. Devon Dotson, 22 points, 7 assists. The Jayhawks needing some late lift, and they held off Tennessee 74-68. Number 5, Florida State edging Notre Dame 85-84. Top-ranked Baylor downing Florida 72-61. Number 2, Gonzaga over Pacific 92-59. Fourth round of the Australian Open. Roger Federer gets by Martin Fucsovics this morning in 4 sets. Women's top seed Ashley Barty beat Allison Risk in straight sets. Fourth and final round of the Farmers Insurance Open coming up today. John Rahm in the lead at 12 under, 1 shot ahead of Ryan Palmer. Rory McIlroy 3 back at -9. Tiger Woods trails by 5 shots at 7 under. This is Justin Shackle.
This is Jim Rome. Join me in the jungle weekdays, noon Eastern, 9 Pacific. I will see you then.
The only way you can take CBS Sports Radio 1140 with you is with the radio.com app. Download it today and listen to us anytime, anywhere. We've got your Raiders covered.
Knock on wood if you're with me.
It's Silver and Black today on CBS Sports Radio 1140. And now, here's your host, Scott Gobranson.
Good Sunday morning, everybody. Welcome to Las Vegas's only all Raiders talk show. That, of course, is the Silver and Black today, rolling through week number 93. That's right, 93 in a row, because Raider Nation deserves it. That's right.
That's right.
Raiders never take a timeout. There's no offseason for us here at CBS Sports Radio 1140. I am Scott Gobranson, joined as always by my co-hosts Kelly Kreiner and Chaz Osborne. A big show for you today during what has been a massive week, a massive Raiders week here in Las Vegas. The week Las Vegas became officially an NFL city as the Raiders, if you didn't see, which I'm sure you all did, because if you're listening to this show, most chances are you are a Raiders diehard and you don't miss much anyway. But I'll bring in my co-host now, Kelly Kreiner. They are officially the Las Vegas Raiders, my friend.
So how long is it going to take you to remember Las Vegas Raiders instead of Oakland?
Never.
It's
I've been calling them that in my head for a while now, but out of respect for the people in Oakland, I haven't unleashed that like the beast that it is. But now I'm actually good with it. I was editing Mo Moton's piece yesterday that ran today. You should go read it about why the Raiders should pass on Robbie Anderson. And the headline said Oakland Raiders, and I had to ping Mo and say, "Hey Mo, remember we can say Las Vegas now. It's official."
But you know my theory: until your stadium's done, you don't have a place to play. You're not part of the city.
That's right. You're still saying San Diego over there, but it's a little bizarre to be saying Las Vegas Raiders.
Correction. And that's Chaz Osborne, by the way. Chaz, welcome this morning.
Yep.
By the way, though, no, I do not say San Diego. I have never.
Kelly's still saying it.
Well, high school football teams play in a bigger stadium than the Chargers,
yeah.
So you are still San Diego.
That's right.
Oh, my goodness. All right. So, Chaz, big week. We were there. We're going to talk about it through this segment and next, of course. But surreal, wasn't it, to be sitting there and see them unveil Las Vegas Raiders?
Yeah. Well, it was funny because we thought it was going to be some big secret, some concert opening or some kind of big news draft, Super Bowl, Pro Bowl announcement or something. And hey, we're the Las Vegas Raiders. Like, don't we know that already? Oh, okay, it's official. Gotcha.
It's official. That's right. And being out there, they had a lot of current players in town. That's the one thing. Remember, we started the website 3 years ago. This radio show is 2 years old. We've been covering the Raiders from a distance, which has presented its own problems,
right? Like
access to players and whatnot. The Raiders PR staff is excellent. They always do a great job of including us, inviting us to events here in Las Vegas when they happen. When we're in Oakland or we were on the road, wherever, they always give us credentials. We had no problem with that. They've been fantastic, but it's been a block because we're distant from them. So now that they're going to be here from a selfish standpoint, from a show standpoint, and for our listeners and our viewers and our readers, it will only enhance our coverage of the team, which to me has been second to none in the medium. So we're happy about that. It's going to be amazing to see that. But guys, when we were out Wednesday with everyone, to the media was of course there, and as Chaz said, we really thought that maybe there could be some sort of announcement around the Pro Bowl or something, because earlier in the week, and we'll talk about this later too, earlier in the week they announced all the draft plans for Las Vegas, which are massive, huge, good times. And we'll talk to Kelly about that too, since he works on the Strip. He'll have a different point of view, I'm sure. But we talked about that, so we thought it was going to be a bigger event. But the fact that they now are officially called the Las Vegas Raiders, the league has accepted that. And we all thought it was going to be in March, but instead they announced that, which is a big deal. And those players there, so current players, long list of players, many of which we talked to and you'll hear from today.
Right.
But what I want to do first, guys, I want to bring sound. We got some one-on-one time with Raiders president Marc Badain, and I asked him, I said, hey, how does it feel to finally kind of get out of what I joked around? I said it was like a purgatory. You're in between Oakland. You're still married, but you're sleeping on the couch, and your girlfriend's in a different city, and you're like torn between the two. So here's what Marc Badain had to say when we talked to him at the event on Wednesday. So this time, this in between, this purgatory, you guys were in between markets. It's finally over. You are the Las Vegas Raiders. Talk about the feelings you have today.
4 years in the making. Exciting that we were able to celebrate the moment with all the workers, the people that are building the stadium, and they're obviously important to us, important to the community. We enjoy all the time that we get with them, and you can see how proud they are of the building and what it means to us, what it means to the Raiders, and then what it means to Las Vegas and the entire state. So it's a pretty special day.
How about the reaction of the players? They're now coming in more obviously with the move finalized. What's been their reaction?
What's been great about it is, for a lot of these guys, it's been 3-4 years in the making. Some of them are newer players, so it's only been a little over a year, but it wasn't real to them, right? It was often in another city. So the fact that it's now here, they had a chance to go through the Henderson practice facility this morning. They have a chance to see the building and see its impact and its scope and how beautiful it is. I think they'll go back and talk to all the other players. It'll be a good moment.
Lastly, NFL draft news, obviously, this week. Huge for you guys and for the league. Talk about what Las Vegas is going to see when the NFL draft comes here in April.
Look, this is Las Vegas. They do events better than anywhere in the world. So when we started talking to the league about 2 years ago of what the draft could be here, that vision was laid out, and you saw that vision actually get realized yesterday with that vote. It's going to be spectacular, the visual, the moment for the players and their families as they go across that red carpet. And then to spend that weekend here and do it in Vegas is going to be special for everybody. And then obviously what it brings to the community and all the tourists that are going to come and make a weekend out of it, it's going to be great.
Thanks.
You guys go.
Congratulations. All right, there you have it. Marc Badain, president of the Raiders, giving his comments on finally becoming the Las Vegas Raiders, guys. And also we talked to him a little bit about the NFL draft because that was huge news. But Chaz, I mean, here's a guy, Marc Badain, who spent 4 years himself literally knee deep in it every single day to make it happen. Right. It had to be rewarding.
Yeah, well, it was great. And like you said, he talked about how you asked him about the players, and he said it's real. It's real for them now, and it's real for the Las Vegas residents. It's real for the Raider fans that are here. That. So after walking away from it, I thought, why are they announcing Las Vegas? We already knew that. But then when it finally sank in, I realized, okay, well, now it's real. They made that statement. They came here, they showed us, and it's Las Vegas Raiders.
It is. And Kelly, I mean, I think for most people here in the city, it's one of those deals where you see the stadium going up, and to your point, I mean, until they're actually practicing here and you're seeing them every single day and all of that, it's still a little bit away, but very real for everybody because now they've taken on the name, and it just becomes reality for you because you are officially an NFL market.
And you're going to be able to buy your gear. Right around draft times when you're first going to see Las Vegas Raiders gear come out.
Right.
Which is another reason the NFL probably moved this up. They're like, hey, we want more money.
Never. They're never driven by profit. But seriously, a great day out there.
Yeah.
And fantastic stuff. We're going to continue to go through that a little bit. I also wanted to play you some sound. Big day for Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders. Of course, his father's never realized dream during his lifetime, which was to get a true home for the Raiders to get that state-of-the-art facility to a place that was their own, something that they could very, very proud of and make Raider Nation the capital of, and they finally got to do it. So we're going to hear now a little bit on what Mark Davis, number 6, Trent, had to say on Wednesday as well.
I think between now and dinner I probably will, and then at that point on, it's, we got to finish the job. As I say all to the guys every time, is nothing's less important in life than to score at halftime. We've got to finish the job, and these guys are doing such a phenomenal job, and they're taking so much pride in it that I hear is not really in a lot of the other buildings that are going on in sports buildings and all of that stuff. These people are really taking an ownership of it and love it, and it means a lot. They think it's phenomenal. Yeah, it's it's something.
It's something, he said. And excuse the noise there.
Was he in a club?
We were in a big media scrum in front of the they decided to put Mark Davis in front of the loudest speaker for the press conference out on the.
But it was a spectacle. They made a big, it was fun because that's why we thought it was going to be a big announcement because of all the draft stuff they talked about. And we know that Las Vegas is going to do the draft, 10 times bigger than Nashville did last year, and it's just going to be great. So they kind of made a spectacle out of this. But it was great to see, Derek Carr and Darren Waller and Abrams and those guys out there, and symbolic that Jim Plunkett was there because he was a part of the original move from Oakland down to Los Angeles. Right. So it was just great. It was a great scene. It was great to see all those guys out here, and here it is, Las Vegas Raiders.
That's right. And Kelly, I mean that's the thing too. You talk about the kind of impact and for an owner and. Besides the people who are like they don't feel like they should subsidize billionaires and all this kind of stuff to build stadiums, and we'll talk about economic impact in the next segment because I think it's a huge thing to discuss. But for him, very rewarding. I mean, Kelly, you've been following the Raiders for most of your life. It becomes very real at points like that, and even though you don't have time to enjoy it because you're going through it, it's got to be big for him.
Yeah, and first, let's the way he said that there's nothing more or nothing less important than score at halftime. Obviously, he doesn't bet first half of football games.
I knew you were going to say that.
For some of us, that's a very important thing.
I knew you were going to say it.
But you're right. Like you said, this is kind of the culmination of everything they've been working on, and he'll even talk about how his father Al loved Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. This isn't, they said, like the 4 years. This has been something that's been in the background for decades.
Yeah, like
this
30
has
years.
Always been a possibility. So this isn't the culmination of the last 4 or 5 years. This is a culmination of a dream that's been going on for a long, long time.
Right.
That's a great point.
When you put it that way, I mean, it's a huge thing for everybody, but it's also, like you said, you get that feeling of home now. It's a little more concrete. You've got most of this stuff behind you. You're in that home stretch. You can almost breathe a little easier.
Yes, no doubt about it, and it's going to be incredible. We're going to hear more too. I got to spend time with players at the event. Chaz and I did. Mo Hurst, as well as others, and we'll talk to them. We also have a story we're going to bring you. We were going to bring you now, but we ran out of time. We'll do it in the next segment around some of the community events, including the schools event that Darren Waller and Alec Ingold were at that we caught up with them there, and we'll do that when we come back from this first break. Let's step aside, pay the bills when we come back. The show rolls on, Raider Nation. You're listening to the Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio 1140.
Unfiltered hockey talk for Golden.
Welcome back to the Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio 1140 from the home of the Raiders. Hey, HQ of Raider Nation. That is the city of Las Vegas in the state of Nevada. Battleborn, baby. Welcome back to the show. Lots to get through this hour. And next hour, this is what they call a tease, Chaz.
Oh.
I know you know about teases. You know about teases.
Oh, yeah.
We will be joined, and you'll hear our conversation with Phil Villapiano, Raider great, always a very energetic, upbeat, classic.
I'm excited about
conversation.
Phil, man. Today might be. He never gets my name right, so I'm hoping. I'm thinking today is my day.
He's
going to get my name right today.
He calls you Chaz.
He
Chad,
calls me Jack and Jeff and Zach.
Chad.
You look like a Chad, though. I mean, I can totally see that.
You think he looks like a Chad?
He looks like a Chad.
A hanging Chad.
Got that punchable face he has.
A punchable face. Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, this week, as the amazing news between the draft, between Las Vegas Raiders and all this stuff, and while all of that was happening, guys, the Raiders were out in the community again in Las Vegas, and our own David Stepanian, our correspondent du jour at large, was out there, got to go out to an elementary school and talk with both Darren Waller and Alec Ingold about the work they're doing out. Here's David's report.
At this point, it's not news that the Raiders help out their communities. What is news is the way they do it every time. This week, the Raiders teamed up with Jack Daly Elementary School near UNLV to serve lunch to students.
Like as a person, you know, there's all these things that you want to gain, things you want to accomplish for yourself, but I feel like you're most happy, you're most at peace with yourself, and you enjoy your life more when you're giving to other people and you're being of service to other people. So that's why I feel like it's so important. And once you get into it, it's fun. It doesn't feel like a burden. It doesn't feel like anything extra. It feels like, you know, something that you were called to be here to do. Oh man, the kids were super excited. They were like jumping out of their skin and just like so excited. Had a bunch of questions and were just engaging with us. You could tell it was exciting for them, and I was looking forward to it as well. You know, it's always good to know that you can have an impact on kids in some kind of way. So, you know, it's exciting for us, exciting for, like Alex said, to get started on a good note here in Vegas and, you know, just continue it going forward and let it know that this is going to be a staple of what we're going to be doing here.
The kids were excited to see current Raiders in the flesh, and the players were just as excited to be a part of the Las Vegas community and help out schools, including fullback Alec Ingold.
Yeah, I mean, I think anything that you can do to start off on the right foot and try and give back as much as possible is definitely the goal here. You know, we want to be a big part of this community for a long time, and I feel like just getting started here was a great opportunity for us.
The faculty was thrilled to team up with the Raiders for this event, especially Principal Cheryl Troop.
Yes, well, the Bub Brown is just so great. I mean, everybody's excited to have a team here in Vegas, and so the kids were really excited to see them today, and they all got geared up with their Raider stickers, and it's just fun for them, and it's fun for their families and for all of us.
The players stayed after handing out lunches to hang out with the kids, giving them high fives, and talk about playing in the NFL. For Silver and Black Today, I'm David Stepanian.
All right, thanks to our own David Stepanian for that report. And again, Darren Waller, Alec Ingold doing well in our community. And both those guys so well-spoken. I mean, it's fun to get to know these guys off the field a little bit, as we will in Las Vegas, as they're just more and more part of our community as they all move here as we get closer to the season, guys.
Yeah, after I was leaving the announcement, and I was walking kind of behind Waller and his group of people there, and he was just talking positive, what a good time he's been having here and how he enjoys it here. You know, I just kind of overheard him talking with his group there. And just great guys all around. We really got a great core, just character-wise, going forward.
No doubt. Also, guys, I was excited. I'm standing there and I'm working around, and there's people everywhere, right? And there's journalists everywhere. We're trying to get interviews and one-on-ones and all that kind of stuff. Of course, some of the people we weren't going to get one-on-ones with, like Derek Carr, so we kind of just bagged it because it was a massive crowd. And so I'm standing there, and I turn around, and there's one of the Raider PR people, and I don't know her name, so excuse me. And she's standing alone with Mo Hurst. Like, he's just standing there by himself. And I'm like, whoa, okay, I'm going to go grab Mo because I like Mo, I want to talk to him. So we were able to get a few minutes with Mo and to ask him about Las Vegas, but also ask him about his second year in the NFL. So here's Mo Hurst. Mo Hurst, Las Vegas, you're here. You've seen the stadium now. What do you think?
Blown away by the stadium, the practice facility. It's all top notch, and you know, it's just it's an exciting time to be a Raider, and especially a Las Vegas Raiders. So just really excited to get the season going and get our new home.
Now, if you thought about, you just came in, I know it's a whirlwind tour, but when are you going to start looking for a place to live and start to think about not having to pay all that high rent in California, man?
I mean, I've already started to look, and I'm super excited. A lot of great communities out here, and a lot of great people. It's just, it's top of the line.
Now, last year, so your second year in the league, you guys made great progress, especially towards the end of the year, playing really well as a unit. Tell me about the difference between years 1 and year 2 for you as an NFL player.
For me personally, just understanding the game a little bit better, understanding what the offense is trying to do, all my pre-snap reads. I felt like I got a lot smarter with the slides and just understanding the game as a whole.
You guys think you're ready for that next big move? You're going to get some help in the draft and probably free agents, so you'll get that team even more bolstered. How do you feel about 2020 and what's on the horizon?
I think we're going to make moves. I think we're ready to make our push. We got to play the Chiefs twice a year. They're in the Super Bowl, so we got to come ready to play.
There you go, Mo Hurst.
Yep, and Mo, another great guy. Just going around talking with everybody, you could just tell he's just high character. And he's going to be a great player.
No doubt. Kelly, one of your guys, you like Mo Hurst.
I was a big Mo guy, and not just because, I'm a Michigan football fan, but, I think everybody realizes that, second year was a little down from what we were expecting after the first year, but still, he was a steal in the draft. Obviously wouldn't have fallen if it wasn't for the health issue. But he's a guy you can kind of build around, and he's another one of those nice young pieces we have moving to Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, just amazing time out there today. Again, Las Vegas Raiders official announcement event we were at. Also, we caught up with a man very important in the move. Although he does not like to take credit for it, he won't take credit for it. He's just that kind of guy. Not surprising coming out of the Naval Academy, being the leader he is. But Napoleon McCallum was there, and actually Mark Davis thanked him for making the move possible, which was incredible. Although he doesn't like to talk about it, so we talked instead with Napoleon McCallum about the move to Las Vegas and what it means to this community to get an NFL franchise. Napoleon, they are now the Las Vegas Raiders. Being an alumni, I'm sure it's a special day, especially since you're a Las Vegan.
Oh, my gosh, it's so special. This town has been waiting for a professional football team for so long, and for the Las Vegas Raiders to be here now, this is the day. And I'm just so excited. And then you hear them giving $500,000 for the youth for school debt. It's just awesome, so I'm really excited. They're a great community partner, and, it's just a great marriage.
Well, and Mr. Davis said, besides making that incredible donation, which you just mentioned, he talked about when the community gets an NFL team, they get much more than just football, and you talked about that with the donation. But what are Las Vegans who've never been in a market with an NFL team, what else can they expect from a presence like you're going to see with the Raiders here in Las Vegas?
That's very hard for me because when I played with them in El Segundo, they didn't have facilities like this. We were sharing things. Part of the community, not a big part, but here we're a big part of the community, and you know what, we're trying to touch as many people and help this community as not me, but they are. Sure. But I just think it's just awesome. The town's been starving for this, and when we're here, golly, the fans they're gonna love us. The players are going to love the fans. They're going to love being here. They don't know how it is to live in Nevada. So I just look for beyond expectations what this community is going to get.
And lastly, NFL draft news this week. Clearly a huge get for this area, for our businesses, for people here in general. Talk about that news and what that means for our city as well.
The draft is going to be incredible here. 3 times as many people as come here for New Year's. And that's crazy. It's insane, and we're the place that can handle it. That's what we do, and so things like that are just going to breed more and more things. The Super Bowl. I just man, so exciting. You know what we got to do? We gotta play so tough next year that we play in Super Bowl LV 55. No, not going to be here.
It would be great if it was here, but
no,
in it.
There you go. 55 LV.
And there you go, Napoleon McCallum, obviously fired up. And if you haven't read the ESPN story, go search it on Google about how Napoleon McCallum got Sheldon Adelson and Mark Davis and other people in a room at UNLV to start this whole process. But clearly, guys, he's over the moon about his Raiders coming to Las Vegas.
Yeah, he's fired up. It was fun seeing him out there. When you see him so excited in the interview, that just kind of permeates through the whole crowd, the whole fan base, the crowd, the players, everybody. They've all kind of got that same feeling. They're excited about it, and it's fun to watch. It's fun to see.
And you see what it means to somebody who's from here.
Yes.
To finally have a and we saw it with the Knights. Half the reason the Knights became so popular was that it was Vegas's team,
right?
And everybody's like, well, we're getting somebody else's team with the Raiders. Yeah, but there's so many people here that were born here, raised here, grew up Raider fans. You've got a big enough base out here to where it still feels like our team.
Yeah, well, you heard Mark Davis say, the Raiders were born in Oakland, they played in L.A., and both cities will always be a part of our DNA. But now Raider Nation has a new capital, and it's here in Las Vegas.
It is. And that's the thing, guys. Napoleon, for one, I had some folks on our YouTube stream. By the way, we do stream the show, simulcast it live on video in all the major platforms, including YouTube, Facebook, Periscope. Say, well, they need to bring more L.A. Raiders to Vegas. Like, it's all Oakland guys. Not true. Napoleon McCallum is an L.A. Raider. He never played in Oakland. Jay Schrader, who's been on this show many, many times,
right,
who's in town a lot. A lot of the guys from Los Angeles are also here, too. And I think in that whole move discussion, a lot of times L.A. gets left out of the equation. People forget they were in L.A.
Right.
And they have L.A. fans who are actually probably more excited that they're in Vegas than they were in Oakland because of proximity. But it'll be interesting. All right, we're going to step aside. When we come back, we'll hear from Marcel Reese, who gave his boots away.
What?
At the press conference. You'll hear that story, along with talking with punter A.J. Cole. That's right, the punter. We don't usually talk with punters, but A.J. Cole has his take on Vegas. We'll also talk more about the NFL draft announcement and what you can expect in Las Vegas in April. You're listening to the Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio 1140.
We're in conference play. Sports Radio. The only way to take Silver and Black Today with you is with the radio.com app. Download it today and search CBS Sports Radio 1140 in Las Vegas and listen to us anytime, anywhere.
Indeed. If you don't have the radio.com app, you got to go get it. Seriously, it's free, folks. Android, iOS, both formats. You can listen to this show live. You can also rewind the show. It's like a DVR. So let's say you slept in and you missed the show this morning. You can go back up to 24 hours with the rewind function and listen to the show again as though you're listening to it live. Isn't that amazing?
Genius.
Also, the show, of course, as I said, simulcast live on video. You can watch us on YouTube right now. There's great conversation happening in YouTube with lots of folks there, including our man Mark Allen Bell, who's always on, Angela Belcher, all the guys who are always on there, as well as Facebook, Periscope, Twitch, you name it, we're there. Also, a reminder, this show will be archived and put up into our podcast feed on iTunes, Google Play, and wherever you get your audio, usually within an hour after the show, so you'll be able to get the entire show as well. So make sure you do that. Okay, so back into it now. A couple of conversations we wanted to bring you to before we move on to talking about the NFL draft. Marcel Reese, of course, the former Raider, was out there. He's done so much in the community here in Las Vegas, been around the team and helping kind of create the roots in Las Vegas for the Raiders. He was there, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you the story in advance a little bit, but we went to talk to him. As I was going up to talk to him, I looked down, and his feet, he's got bare feet. And I'm thinking, well, maybe he's just a kind of hippie dude, and he's thinking, no. But no, he's signing a boot, and as it turns out, one of the construction workers, because the event was attended by all the men and women who are building the stadium, the one guy said, "Oh man, I love your boots; those are cool." And so Marcel Reese took his boots off, autographed them, and gave them to the construction worker. It was amazing. Very cool guy. So here's what Marcel Reese had to say about the excitement and all of the things happening and his boots here in Las Vegas. Today, you're here. You're with the construction workers. Big event, Las Vegas Raiders. You gave your boots away. Tell me the story.
I did. Basically, I had construction boots on because we were going to so many construction sites, and it was a safety thing. They're extremely comfortable. They were brand new. A guy wore my size. He liked them. He said he wanted them, and I took them off my feet and gave them to him. I mean, it's what being a Raider is all about, man. You just kind of help out where you can. You kind of show love where you can. That's part of just loving and being a part of it. And there's no hesitation for me, and there never will be. And that's what Mark, when he keeps saying, you're not just getting a team, you're getting a community, you're getting a family, you're getting the Raider Nation. That's all a part of it.
Now, you've been in Vegas a lot. To see the stadium going up now, you guys took a tour. Talk a little bit about, now that it's official, Las Vegas Raiders. How does it make all of you guys feel as players and alumni?
I mean, listen, this is extremely gratifying, man. I tell these young guys, I'm ready to come back for a couple years now. You're seeing all these state-of-the-art facilities come up and the team really come together, and it's an exciting time. I said it earlier today. It's a great thing to see for the young guys to have played in Oakland and been in Alameda to actually be able to have that sense of gratitude and that sense of pride about this new facility. They're not going to be spoiled. They understand what they came from and what they're growing to, and that's a special time for young players and young people everywhere.
There you go, Marcel Reese. What a cool gesture. I mean,
yeah,
giving his boots.
Marcel's a great guy. I've seen him a lot. He's basically an ambassador for the Raiders now. We saw him over there in London, and he's at all these community events. He was emceeing at the Raiders draft party up there at Dre's last year, and I asked him about it, and he said he just loves it. He's jumping right in. He loves being a part of the Raiders community and helpful. He just anywhere he can, he's always helpful.
And he told me too that he doesn't officially work for the Raiders. He's not like on the payroll. This is a guy who comes out and does this because he loves the Raiders. He loves the Las Vegas community. He's getting very entrenched in it. So very cool. The other guy I was able to talk to lastly was punter AJ Cole. Now AJ Cole, first of all, when I got there and I stood next to him, I didn't realize how tall he was. I don't pay attention to the kickers often, but pretty tall. So I'm standing next to him, like looking up at this guy. He looks like he's a kid, a very very young guy. And so we talked to him a little bit about Las Vegas. He had never been here before. So here's AJ Cole on Las Vegas, and I asked him the question because nobody was asking football questions. I asked him about how his game will change punting indoors.
driving down the Strip, it just catches your breath. I mean, this is an impressive city, but I just think that it's a beautiful stadium. It's one of the most incredible things I've ever seen, really. You know, I think that Raider Nation is the best way to describe it because it's now being the third different city we've been in. I think that it's really just it's a giant community, and we're all spread out all throughout the West Coast and everywhere, really, you know, across the country. I think that Raider Nation's got a really deep, really rich history that I've learned so much about in my past year being with the team, and we're just excited to, you know, get the ball rolling in Las Vegas and kind of get lay the groundwork and try and win a championship and make it, you know, 3 cities, 3 championships. I've been here for 24 hours. Landed last night. This is my first time in Las Vegas. This is my first time seeing the Strip. Got here last night, went straight to bed. You know, so it's really cool to get the opportunity to come here and see everything and kind of see the future home, and it feels like home. Yeah, me and Derek were driving in. I was like, you know what I love about that stadium's the roof. So yeah, you know, it's exciting. You know, it's cool to just go into an environment where, you know, the conditions are going to be the same every time. You know, playing in a dome's a lot of fun.
I love that, Kelly. A kicker saying playing in the dome is fun because you're not going to have any wind conditions. You're going to have the same temperature, ambient temperature all the time. Very typical of a kicker, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, plus also, like you mentioned, very few people care about the kicker, talk to the kicker. So it's like he's excited to be like, hey, you know, I get to do an interview first time in Las Vegas, and I get to punt inside, which is almost job security.
Right.
You know, because I mean, I don't, obviously you see the kicker numbers with the number of field goals, how much they go up inside a dome. I'd like to see some numbers on punters, like their punt average, they're inside the 20. Because, like you said, no wind, no elements. You just have to kick.
You say you don't care about the punter? I used to have a poster of Ray Guy on my wall when I was a kid.
If you're going to have one poster of one punter, it's going to be Ray Guy.
That's pretty funny. But, you know, what a great kid. And you hear him say that it's the first time he's ever been in Vegas, and then you start to think about it. You know, a lot of these young guys, probably their first time ever in Vegas, right? So coming in with wide eyes, and we know they're all going to stay on the right path and stay focused on the football and doing the right thing.
And I can't wait for that stupid narrative to take off. It's like, oh, it's in Las Vegas. You're going to get in trouble. If you're semi-famous and wealthy, you can get in trouble in any city on the planet.
But it's funny you bring that up, though, too, because the draft will be here as well. It'll be a huge party. But I've always been, and not just because I live here, but that's always angered me, that argument, because – you know, what's his name on the Giants shoots himself in the leg in a club. Did that happen in Las Vegas?
Right.
No. You can get in trouble in Cincinnati, in New York. Listen, I've seen more debauchery in New York and New Orleans than I've ever seen in Las Vegas, to be honest with you. Really. Going back to the days when I used to run out late and long. And I've never seen it. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can get in trouble anywhere, like you said, Kelly. But New Orleans and New York, you're going to tell me you're worried about guys coming here? The only difference is gambling, which is going away too because the other areas have gambling too. But with gambling, it's regulated, folks. Mm-hmm. You saw Evander Kane or the San Jose Sharks skips out on a bill, it becomes news. You see other people who've done things wrong in the gaming industry, the casinos report them themselves. You can't get away with it. Right. So there's not as much trouble to get in as you think.
But yeah, like I said, that's what people don't realize, man. There's so many cameras and everything in this town. Everything's so regulated. Like, all the stuff that you could do under the table and everything is in another city. It's not in this city.
Right.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you mentioned New Orleans. It's like they've had a football team forever, you know. And New Orleans is like dirty Vegas. I mean, it's like I love that
I
city.
call it the true Sin City because, I mean, I don't walk down the middle of the Strip and see topless women with painted breasts. I see that in New Orleans.
That's Fremont Street.
Now the performers,
every day at Fremont Street.
But I'm talking about just like girls out at the bar walking down the street with no shirt on.
It's like I joke all the time with my friends. What everybody comes to Vegas to do, I go to New Orleans. And that's always been
when you live here, yeah.
Yeah, that's been my place for like. I actually thought about moving there before. A couple years back, and I'm like, I'd be dead in 6 months. Between the food, the booze, and that city, I'd be a dead man.
Well, we're glad you didn't go, Kelly. But guys, with the NFL draft, let's talk about that for a few minutes. NFL draft, the red carpet across the Bellagio water, something we had talked about months ago that we had heard from the NFL. The main stage over by the link behind the Westin in between the new Caesars Forum. And Kelly, you brought up a good point. For those of us that live in Las Vegas, whenever we get part of the 4.5 inches of rain we get a year, except last year we had 7, it was a rainy year, that 4.5 inches all accumulates in one place, and that's under the link. parking garage. Talk about, are you concerned that if it rains that the NFL draft could be washed out?
Oh, this could be a disaster when it rains. And like when I first came out here, before I moved out here, I had a couple friends of mine from back home. We moved out here to kind of check the place out, look for apartments and stuff. And it was a weekend in January where it rained so much, cars were floating out of Harris parking garage and onto Koval.
Yeah.
Like the road to like Pahrump and farther south was washed out. Like you couldn't get out of the valley. It rained so much. And I mean, that was an epic flood. But if you just get a hard rain in that link area, I mean, it completely floods. So this, I mean, I'm sure they had to think about this. I'm sure that, like I said, we looked at it. That could be a disaster.
It could be. I think April is one of our drier months, so that we have that going for us. And I'm sure the NFL looked into it probably from that data set point, right, to say, look, how much does it rain? What's the chance of it happening? And deemed that it wasn't too concerning. All right, we're up on a break. We're on a break here, hard stop. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the draft, and then we'll talk about a piece that ran up on silverandblacktoday.com, up on our website, about should the Raiders invest more in the defense than think about offense if they want to win more in the future. We'll talk about that as well. You're listening to the Silver and Black Today here on CBS Sports Radio 1140.
Silver and Black. This is Silver and Black Today, live on CBS Sports Radio 1140. Here's your host, Scott Gobranson.
All right, we roll on here on the Silver and Black Today in Las Vegas, of course, at CBS Sports Radio 1140. You will get no other Raider talk like you get here 3 hours a week so far. 2 hours, of course, 8 to 10 on Sundays. And Tuesdays, Silver and Black Tonight, 6 to 7 p.m. Are you listening to that one? If you're not, you should be. Download the radio.com app. Check us out. We also simulcast that usually as well, though sometimes on Tuesdays I just don't feel like doing video.
What?
So we don't, but otherwise we're here.
That's a good effort. Good job. Good effort.
Do it.
I mean, I know I'm not here, but you can still.
That's why he doesn't do it.
Without Kelly, it's just not worth doing anymore. All right, we're back. We're talking about the Raiders, and we're talking about the draft a little bit. We talked about Kelly's concern with the rain there. But, guys, there's no doubt that this draft is going to be phenomenal because of the location here in Las Vegas, because it's the newest NFL market as well. That's the other thing I think people forget about is the NFL, they want to introduce people to the Las Vegas market as an NFL market. So there's going to be a lot, I think, of special things that occur. I actually am in the camp of believing that we will not do as many people as Nashville did.
No, it's going to be Vegas. People are going to circle. The reason the Raiders are going to be so popular is every other team and across the nation, they're going to circle their calendar when their teams play in Las Vegas so they can come out here, right?
I don't think there's going to be as many people, though, is what I'm saying.
There will be. The spectacle that's Vegas, they're going to do everything.
600,000? I don't know.
Let's be honest. Nobody has any clue how many people actually went to Nashville for that thing. I love how they throw out these numbers. Oh, there were 600,000 people. Right. No, there were 200,000 for 3 days.
Well, no, they say it over the 3 days. They are transparent. They say, look, 600,000.
They count all those people.
But the number they throw is 600,000. That's not 600,000. That's 200,000 3 times. So you're
the same people over and over again,
right?
right?
Same people at 3 events.
Right.
Well, I don't know though. Some people.
That's the other thing. You'll see we used aerial footage to count all that crap. It's like, okay, cool. You're like, hey, does that look like 50,000 to you? It's like, nah, dude, that's 52.5. It's like, right.
Yeah. Aerial footage. I love that. It's like hunting in the savannah.
Really? How do they count those people? They count up all the hotel
by
rooms?
hand. They do they do by rooms, and they have free events where you have to register for tickets and all that kind of stuff. So I get it. I just think though that
they're making it up.
I think Nashville. You talk about it's the Mid-South, right? You have the South, you have the East Coast, you have the Midwest, all very centralized. People can drive. It's cheaper. I'm not saying you can't fly to Las Vegas inexpensively because you can.
Yeah.
But it's just a whole different ballgame.
It's a nonstop flight from every city to Vegas.
Right. I think we'll probably get as many people as we do for the NCAA tournament first weekend or New Year's Eve, which is about 300,000, which is still huge. It would still make it one of the.
That makes it 900,000 over 3 days.
Yep, we win.
No, I'm saying 300,000 total.
Oh, so you're saying
I'm saying 100,000 a day, and I because Kelly, you work on the Strip. You know how
busy.
You
get that on a random Saturday in this town, though, man.
CES last week.
Well, the NCAA tournament. It's funny. I have a group of folks that I went to grade school with, and St. Pat's in Carlsbad.
Was it a one-room schoolhouse?
No, it was not. It was a Catholic school in North San Diego County. And a bunch of them want to get together and come to Vegas and kind of meet up, like not a reunion, but just kind of a group of friends that graduated 8th grade together. Sort of. A lot of them, a lot of folks but they're like, okay, well, we're thinking like coming in like the March 21st. I'm like, no. It's the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. You're not going to be able to get a room. Trust me. And well, what about the end of April? I'm like, no. It's going to be the draft. So it's going to be a crazy time.
They just think you don't want to see them.
Yeah, they're saying, what the hell's up with Scott? He doesn't want to see
Scott doesn't want to see
in jail or something?
The first week of May's out, too.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't do that.
That's right.
And that's the thing people don't realize that don't come out here. If you plan a trip around around convention stuff, you can get some amazing deals. If you hit the wrong weekend, man, you're done.
Yeah, you are.
Like my first vacation out here ever before I moved out here was for the Jones Tarver, their first fight. I got a ringside seat for the fight. NASCAR was in that weekend. Another convention was in that weekend. I'm checking into a crappy hotel for the first night because I flew in a day early, not realizing all that stuff was in.
Right.
The lady on the phone's talking to a guy. She's like, yeah, she goes, the closest room we have is in Boulder City. She goes, she's running out of everything. She goes, it's $649 a night in Boulder City. She goes, and that's the closest thing you'll find to Las Vegas. Yeah. And I'm like, Jesus, good thing I booked this at the airport today when I decided to fly in an hour early.
I remember paying a couple $100 way back in the day for a Motel 6. I'm like, wait, aren't they supposed to be like $39.99? What?
Hey, they'll keep the light on for you.
Who?
Guys, well, let me ask you this question. We got a few minutes before we hit the top of the hour, and then we go to Phil Villapiano, of course, coming up at 9 o'clock. Question. Mo Moten wrote a piece saying that the Raiders need to invest more in defense, and they need to make that the priority to get them to the next step. Now, I know there's a percentage of folks out there, I'm just going to call it out, who think you think the biggest impetus, or I should say, the biggest blockage for the Raiders to become successful is at quarterback. I'm not even considering that discussion right now. What I want to have the discussion around is for the Raiders to make it to the playoffs next. They were a 7-9 team. They need to win 2 or 3 more games, folks, to be a playoff team. Is that, Chaz and Kelly, with about 3 minutes left, is that mean that the priority has to be defense, and it has to be defense with money and people now?
I think we're at the point where you have to choose one to try to be elite at and decent at the other one. And unfortunately, the Raiders being middle of the road of both, they don't have that clear path.
Well,
if you've got like I said, if you've got a Mahomes type quarterback where you know your offense is going to be elite, you just want to make your defense decent. You know, if you've got an elite defense, you just need your offense to be kind of middle of the road and be kind of good. You know, so it's like, what are we best at? Let's, strengthen that and we'll work on the other one in the background. But with the Raiders, it's like you're kind of middling in both, and you don't really have. So that's like I've said, I hate 6 and 10. I hate 5 and 9 because you're in that middle ground and you never go anywhere.
Yeah. You guys know I always preach defense. If you can't score, you can't win the game. So, defense matters. But Mo said it in his article. The Raiders were 30th in cap dollars spent on defense. But 6 of the 9 Raiders draft picks were on the defensive side of the ball, right?
I was going to say, that's the whole thing. When you're young like that, the cap numbers kind of get skewed.
Yeah, but they're making an effort to address that situation. Obviously, 60% of their draft was defense, so they're looking in that direction. And in free agency, one kind of helps the other one, right? With free agency and then the draft, the free agency. But I think again they'll probably go heavy with defense this draft. And we'll see how it plays out in the next couple of years. A few of these guys rise up and become great players. It brings me back to Eli Manning, retiring this week. You start thinking about Eli Manning's career, and it's like, was he an elite quarterback? No, he was just a middle-of-the-road quarterback. But, a few years there, they put nice players around him. They put some defense around him, and they got to the promised land.
And he got ridiculously hot in 2 playoff runs. If
Right.
you go back and look at those playoff runs, man, he was smoking.
But he also had great players around him with those 2 runs.
He got lucky.
Oh, no, I don't think he had great players around him. I think they just hit their stride at the right time. Because name 2 other players on those Giants Super Bowl teams.
One other player, Michael Strahan.
Well,
Mexico burst before he shot himself in the leg.
At the end of the show, I want to bring up Eli Manning because I think it's a good conversation to have because there's some comparisons. I think some people compare
A lot of similarities there
with Derek Carr, and so we'll talk about
also
that
his career as opposed to Jim Plunkett's career, and they're talking about how he's a shoe-in for the Hall of Fame, and
Right.
Plunkett's not. They got the exact same numbers.
Well, that's the big argument because some people are saying he's a shoe-in, and a lot of people are saying no, he's not. There's a nice divide there.
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
There really is. Man, that's incredible. But it's gonna be fun to watch how the Raiders do. I said last year, and I was wrong to a certain degree. Although because they got Josh Jacobs in the first round, but I wanted them to go all defense last year. I still think they should go all defense in the first round this year, unless now if a CeeDee Lamb or somebody's there, and we have a lot of time to talk about the draft, so we won't do it today. But if someone like him is there, then yes, you got to grab him. But I think defense is definitely a priority, and then fill in the offensive spots. All right. We're going to step aside for the top of the hour sports update, which this time of the year is a little slow, but we're going to get to it anyway. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Raiders legend Phil Villapiano. The Foo Man joins us. Believe me, you do not want to miss this. You're listening to the Silver and Black Today here on CBS Sports Radio 1140.
Days, noon Eastern and 9 Pacific. I will see you then.
We've got your Raiders covered.
Knock on wood if you're with me.
It's Silver and Black Today on CBS Sports Radio 1140. And now, here's your host, Scott Gobranson.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of the Silver and Black Today here on CBS Sports Radio 1140. And one of our favorite interviews of all time, and of course, the man that I have dubbed the future honorary, and I think we're right on the crux of it, the future honorary mayor of Las Vegas. And that, of course, is Raiders great. You call him Foo, we call him Phil. Phil Villapiano joins us now. Phil, how you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, Scott. I like the title. Very nice title.
Fitting.
The future honorary. Future, whatever. There was another word in there too. That was good. That was good.
The future honorary mayor, because I know even for especially those Las Vegas Raiders fans who don't know that they're Raiders fans yet, Phil. When they start, they're starting to get on board the stadium. The name of the team's officially Las Vegas, and when they get a load of you, they're gonna love you because you are, yes, you're Jersey all the way through and through, but at the same time, you fit so well here in Las Vegas. And I know when you spend more time here, people are gonna fall in love with you, and they're gonna call you Uncle Phil like I do.
Yep. That's very nice, Scott. Very nice, and I am so looking forward to it. I did New Year's Eve over at Caesar's Palace, and a friend of mine. By coincidence, I met him at the Oregon Bowling Green football game a year ago. Wow. He come up to me and he said, "Phil, we got something in common." I said, "What's that?" He goes, "I'm building your stadium." I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, I work for the company that's the senior engineers of the whole show, right?" I said, "Well, then maybe you could get me a tour." He said, "No problem, just come to town." So the day before New Year's, my girlfriend and I got a tour of the stadium like you would not believe. I know everything about everything now. I can't wait. I know where I'm going to have my first beer. I can't wait to get there. Well, it's going to be so good.
Phil, talk about that, though. Now that we'll talk about this week, Chaz and I were at the press conference where they officially became the Las Vegas Raiders. And, of course, right outside the stadium there. Talk about your tour. What's impressed you? What did you see in that tour that you said, wow, this is going to be an incredible place for the franchise? I love the franchise I played for, the Raiders.
Well, here you go. So we come at it. They have these what do they call them sheds out back where everybody's working, there's trailers.
Yes.
And so we meet in a trailer and we go through this fence. And then there's this long driveway, like I'm talking long. And then down below there's it's like an area. And I go, "What's this for? Tailgate parties and all that?" He goes, "No, this is where the football field when the Raiders are not playing, they're going to bring the turf on these railroad tracks out into this area." So that was the first thing that amazed me. And I'm like, "What are you talking?" He says it takes us 45 minutes from it to be laying out there in the sun for it to be in there and ready somebody to run on it.
Yeah,
it's 4 feet. Listen to this. 4 feet deep turf.
It's incredible.
And naturally there's grass on top of that, right? So you got the turf, the grass, and it's on these railroads, and they pull it right into the stadium. It is unbelievable. It looks like like trains, but they're like in these troughs. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Or like, let's say you're making a cake, and you put so much grass or so much in the cake pan, and then they pull them all in. It's unbelievable. So that's what started. Then the second thing, so we walk in down below, and now the big shots like you, Scott, you probably go in this way. Now you go in the place, and he goes, "Phil, come over, check this out." this is Mark Davis's elevator. I'm like, what?
He's got his own elevator.
He's got his own elevator. He gets out of his car, gets in an elevator, goes up to the second floor, but the elevator wasn't in yet. But so we had to walk up there. So now we go up to the second floor, and he goes, this is where Mark's going to get out. And then he walks over here, and this is his suite. His suite is as big as my house. And he's got 2 kitchens, 2 bars. He got 2 of everything. He's got about 5 rows of seats out front. But if you don't want to be out front, you stay inside at the bars or the kitchens. It's amazing.
Well,
and then I'll give you one more. I could go on all day, but I got to tell you, the guy, his name is David Garreau. Great guy. We're giving him a shout out because he's from Bowling Green. He's a Fighting Falcon. He's also the engineer. So David says, Phil, come on, we got to go check this place out. There's going to be a bar at the end of the stadium that's as big. It's as big as our town. It's unbelievable. And everybody can go there, whether you're a club member, standing room only member. Mark Davis wanted it this way, so all the fans could go to this massive bar.
Yeah, and
60,
and Phil, I was
did you
gonna,
see this?
yeah, that's the bar out by the Al Davis Memorial Torch on the north end of the stadium, right? That's where the lanai doors open, where you'll be able to see the view of the Strip. That bar, it's going to be the best bar in Las Vegas.
Oh my God, I can't wait for opening day. I told, I tried to order 50 tickets for opening day for my boys back here. We want to fly out, all my golfing buddies and my drinking buddies, and so the lady Shannon said, Phil, no way. I said, yeah, wait and see. So I text Mark Davis. I said, Mark, give me some divine intervention. We're an international team, man. You just can't leave it to Nevada people. We need some Jersey people there. So let's see if Mark steps in. I'll let you know if Mark, I don't know what they're going to cost. Oh, my God, it'd be ridiculous. But
it will be.
No matter. The Raiders are coming.
It's going to be fun. Again, we're talking to Raider great Phil Villapiano, who joins us today on CBS Sports Radio 1140. Now, Phil, before we take a break here in a few minutes, I want to talk about a little bit the Hall of Fame. Of course, Hall of Fame selection, they had the Centennial class. You've been a nominee for the Hall of Fame since 2018, if my memory serves me correct. Of course, Tom Flores and the late, great Cliff Branch, who we lost just late last year. And again, Raiders were not selected. None of you were selected to get into the Hall of Fame. Tell me a little bit, give me your feelings about that, because to me, I know that the Hall of Fame, it's not just about the personal recognition. It's about the team. It's about your families. How did you feel when you heard that once again there wasn't going to be any Raiders in this class?
It's just, you got to be a little bit above it. Mm-hmm. And not that you can be above the Hall of Fame, because that is I think that one even ranks higher than the Super Bowl. You make the Hall of Fame, okay? But it's, there was a time when I saw some people get in the Hall of Fame, and I didn't even know who they were, and I'm like, who are these people that getting in the Hall of Fame? I almost thought it was a popularity contest for a long time. But then once my name came up a few times, you start looking into it, and they really do their homework. But I don't know if, I'm very happy to hear that the Hall of Fame guys vote, because, in the press, there can't be an NFL without a press. But some of the people that are voting, I don't think they have any clue who they're voting for. Don't matter. I am very, very happy. I got 4 Pro Bowls. I got a Super Bowl. I got a 13-year career. I got the Vegas Raiders. What else do I want? I love it, but I don't really care.
That's what I've always been saying too, Phil. Is we don't need a committee to tell us how great you guys were, right?
Well, we certainly had a great team, and sometimes that that goes against you too, because there's guys like Kenny Stabler. Oh my God, he had to die to get in the thing.
Yeah.
And then there's, I think every Raider that gets in, I know they deserve it. You look at Jim Otto, Jetty Hendricks, I got Gene Upshaw, these guys were great players, great leaders. And if you got a whole, 22 of those guys out there, everybody can't get in. So, hey, I'm just happy I got to know a bunch of these guys. And, I think Jim Plunkett, I think Tom Flores, they're right there. I think Jim maybe next year.
Well, and I think too. I think you guys will all get your opportunity, and we're waiting for that. And honestly, we had Cliff on our show back in 2018. He came in the studio, and we had asked him about it, and he really felt, and it was not a slight in any way. It was not a negative. He felt that you guys were paying the price for Al Davis still, because some of the voters, some of the writers, NFL writers that have been around and are older now, still hold on to some of that dislike for Al because he was such a trendsetter, because he was such a maverick and someone who changed the game so significantly that sometimes you guys are paying the price, and hopefully that'll dissipate over time as well.
Well, that's right. I'm surprised to hear Cliff say that because, Al was us. We were Al.
Right.
And I don't think he did anything wrong. But you're right. There's some guys out there that say, "Oh my God, he moved the team."
Yeah.
Well, so what? So did the Browns, and so did the Cardinals. Remember they used to be the Colts.
Yes.
I mean, Al was without an Al Davis, there would have been no NFL. This Super Bowl, this Sunday. Next Sunday, the Chiefs are winning the Super Bowl for Lamar Hunt and Al Davis. And I remember being in high school when or college, the first Super Bowl. I was rooting for the AFC, and then when the Chiefs beat up the, I think who they beat? Whoever they beat in the third one.
The Vikings, just like you, they beat the Vikings.
Oh, there you go, man. The AFC broke in, and it was so good. Al Davis being the commissioner of the AFC, forcing the merger. Are you kidding me? No. Al, I'm glad he got in the Hall of Fame. And I wish I could get in the Hall of Fame, but hey, we're Al Davis. And I, guys, people, everybody, almost the first question anybody asks me, what was it like playing for Al Davis?
Yep.
And I say it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, and happened to my mind. And and I work now. I'm still working, guys, and I work like I play football. And I got that from Al Davis, and I got that from John Madden, of course.
Yeah.
Those two.
Well, and Phil.
Oh my God.
Phil, yeah, and it's great because obviously the torch is going to be part of the stadium to honor Al. It's going to be 333 Al Davis Way, the stadium address. So he's going to get his due. And I think as time goes on, people continue to understand and really get the scope. Okay, Phil, we're going to take a break. When we come back, more with Phil Villapiano. We're going to talk about next week's Super Bowl. You're listening to the Silver and Black Today here on CBS Sports Radio 1140.
What's next for your
Hey, this is Tim Brown, Hall of Famer. You're listening to Silver and Black Today.
Welcome back. We are here with our good friend and just a national treasure in my view, and that is Raiders great Phil Villapiano, who joins us from the East Coast. And Phil, we talked a lot in the first segment about Raiders football and about your history and, of course, the late, great Al Davis. Now we're going to shift a little bit. We're going to talk about next week's game, the Chiefs and the 49ers. This is the biggest conundrum for Raiders fans, Phil, because it's the Chiefs, and we go back to your prayer that you taught us, Our Father who art in heaven, I hate the Kansas City Chiefs, right? But then you also have the 49ers, the Cross Bay rivals, if you will. So when you look at this game, what is a Raider fan to do, Phil?
Well, I've been thinking a lot about this. I say take the over. Don't bet either one of them because we do hate them both. And I'm having a real problem. But I think, and my daughter Andrea asked me this, says, Dad, who are you going to root for? You hate everybody. I said, well, I really hate these guys, except when I got into the league, and guys, we talked about this a little bit earlier. We hated the NFC or the NFL. We were AFC guys.
Right.
And, we were taught when I went to the Pro Bowl game to kick their ass because that's what you're supposed to do. The AFC is we are showing you, Mr. Old Establishment, we're going to kill you. So I got a lot of that in my body. So even though, the Chiefs, I hate them big time.
Yep.
I hate red because of the Chiefs. I hate horses because of the Chiefs. I hate a lot of things because of the Chiefs. But I may have to just lean a little bit towards the AFC and the AFC West. That was another thing. We were taught we're the AFC West. We're the best conference in football.
Mm-hmm.
And the Chiefs are representing us, and that's really a good thing. So I got to go a little bit for the Chiefs, and I really, really enjoy, Andy Reid. I got to meet Andy when, what was our fullback's name who ended up going to the Eagles? Nice guy. I really enjoyed him, and he was with the Super Bowl team, one of the Plunkett years, and I got to bring him the Super Bowl ring back when Andy Reid was coaching, for the Eagles. And what a nice guy. He brought me on the field. You would think Al Davis or John Madden went on the field. Everybody around the league loves being around Raiders. And he brought me out there, and he introduced me, and it was just wonderful. So I like Andy Reid. I love his offense. It's so fast.
It's incredible.
All that. The last week, it was unbelievable, all those plays he did to Tennessee. Tennessee had no clue where the ball was. So I'm giving Andy Reid. I like Andy Reid. I hate, Shanahan because I hate his father because they were Broncos. So I think I hate Shanahan. I love Reid. So I'll go with that.
Yeah,
and
you're being a little contradictory. See, I'm the same way. It's like I want to root for the AFC West because of the Raider, of everything that it represents. But then I hate the AFC West other teams. So you get conflicted there. Which way do you go? Now, I didn't grow up in the Bay Area, so I don't have any ill will towards the 49ers. I hate the Seahawks more because they're the old AFC West rivalry there. But I can see both sides of the argument there.
Well, Chad, I want you to know my rookie year, George Blanda and Pete Banaszak called me over to this. I'm ready to go on the field, and they said Ginzo, and I said yeah. He goes, this tight end, you got to handle him. If you let him off the line of scrimmage, they're going to beat us. I want to see you just, and it was Ted Kovalek. They wanted me to nail Ted Kovalek. First play of the game, bam! I hit him a shot so hard right under the jaw, and I looked to the sideline. They were go Ginzo, go Ginzo. Probably 4 or 5 plays later, they have a sweep around the other end. Kovalek is trailing the play, and I'm running behind the ball carrier, and he nails me right into the 49er bench. I stand up, so I got 5 plays in. they dragged me off the field because, I wouldn't stop. I went after them, and it was nuts. That was my first 49er game. Nice. The next year, I couldn't wait. Blanda and Banizak. Oh, you're going to take that Ginzo? You're going to take that from last year? No, I'm not. We lasted about 2 plays, me and Quali. They threw us both out.
Yeah.
The next year, the next year, we're back in Oakland. We got thrown out again. We actually got about halfway through the first quarter. The next year, we go back to San Francisco because we played them the last preseason game. So, the starters are playing. So they do a reverse to this, what was his name, their wide receiver, Gene Washington. They do a reverse to Washington. I'm sucked in. I turn around because here comes the ball carrier. Cole Wallach hits me a shot right in the eye. I'm bleeding like crazy. It's 4 years in a row.
Incredible.
We go to the line of scrimmage. I'm bleeding. Blood's coming out of it. The referee stops the game. It says, you got to go. You can't be on the field with all this blood. And I said, one more play. Yeah. So anyway, Kowalik was sitting there just laughing, and they drug me off the field. 4 years in a row, I don't finish a game against the 49ers.
Yeah. So there's your hatred.
Them too.
You got more hatred for the 49ers then.
Well, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And again, we're speaking to Raiders great Phil Villapiano now about the Super Bowl. It's been a great talk with you. Now, Phil, back to the Chiefs. You mentioned them, and you played against some of the ultimate quarterbacks in the history of the league and the history of the NFL. You beat one, you stripped one for a fumble in the Super Bowl. Of course, Fran Tarkington in Super Bowl 11. Can you imagine playing linebacker today and having to watch and play against Patrick Mahomes?
Oh, man. Whoa, he was. Well, Tarkington was the scrambler.
Yes.
But, we were ready for him, and unlike the Tennessee Titans, I don't know what Dean Pease is their defensive coordinator who had that great game the week before against Jackson over there in Baltimore. Why his defensive ends just kept getting caught inside was ridiculous. But Patrick Mahomes, you, Mr. 49er coach, the defensive coach for the 49ers is one of the best ever. He'll be ready. He'll be ready for Mahomes. And, and Stagnola, whatever his name is, going to be ready. He'll be ready for the 49ers. These coaches are good. And they got 2 weeks to game plan. And I remember, and guys, I think, you're old enough to remember, the Minnesota Vikings came out. They took their wide receivers out of the game and brought in two more offensive tackles. Hell, we saw that for 2 weeks. We were ready for that. Bam! Nobody can fake anybody out when you got 2 weeks to plan. Right. And let alone 2 weeks, they've probably been getting ready for the 49ers, and the 49ers are getting ready for the Chiefs for a month. So these coaches will be ready. It's going to be a shootout like we've never seen before. I can't wait. I say take the over. No matter if it's 90 points, take the over.
I like it. Betting advice from Phil too. That's great news. Again,
well, in New Jersey, that's right. Our pastime in New Jersey is betting.
I love it. Well, Phil Villapiano, I want to thank you again, as always, for being so generous with your time. I know our fans, our listeners, they love hearing from you. The times we get to talk to you, it's always one of our most popular shows, and so I appreciate you taking the time. You always spend time with Raider Nation, with the fans, and I know that won't change once they're here in Las Vegas.
Well, hey, Scott and Chad, if I get my 50 tickets, well, part of my weekend is going to be my guy Dave is going to take us 50 Jersey guys, and we're going to have a beer at that bar, and you guys are invited.
Oh, man, I appreciate
Jersey
that.
Boys.
We'll be right there with you, Phil.
Friday before, we'll come in maybe Thursday. So get ready. We're going to have some beers together, and it's going to be wonderful.
Bring your golf clubs, man.
Yep. You got to get some golf.
I'll bring everything. I can't wait. Hey, and don't think I don't love Oakland. I mean, a lot of people are getting mad at me.
No.
I love Oakland. But, it's like, you had the home phone, and then you got the cell phone.
That's right.
You got to move on in life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We moved on. We're in Vegas. We belong in Vegas. And I can't wait to see the logo. Did they come out with a new logo?
Not yet.
At the party the other day?
Not yet. The merchandise and that stuff's supposed to come out as we get closer to the draft, since the draft will be here in Las Vegas. We got to get you out for the draft too. I think that would be an opportunity for you to get out on the links and spend some time as well.
Well, I will be there. My girlfriend Janie lives over in Palm Desert, so we drive through the desert whenever we feel like it. I was at the Raiders threw a giant party last year at that. I forgot the name of that big disco. They don't call it discos. Whatever it was.
Jay's upstairs.
The clubs.
So anyway, but they had the DJ. It
Yeah.
was crazy. A couple thousand people were at the party. So hopefully the Raiders invite me back. If not, I'm coming anyway.
Yeah,
so
that's right. You'll crash. You'll crash. Yeah,
I'm crashing.
Phil. You're always the life of the party. It can't be a party without
That's
you.
right.
So you got to be there. There's no question. But Phil,
Hey Scott,
yes.
I need for you to come to Jersey, man.
Oh, I'll come.
Come do your show from Val's Tavern here in Jersey.
We'll do that. That would be
be big
fantastic.
time.
That would be awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, Phil Villapiano, again, as always, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Okay, guys. Hey, man, just win, baby. Just win, baby. See you later.
Take care now.
Bye,
All right.
guys.
Bye-bye now. Phil Villapiano, Raiders great, Chaz, just amazing.
you can't help smiling when you're talking to
you
the guy.
can't, and it's such a great interview, and I've always been, you hear a lot of talk show hosts that will spend a lot of time talking themselves. When you have somebody like Phil, you got to let him go.
Nah, just let the reins go. Let him run.
He has such great stories. He has such great passion for the Raiders. Yes, he won a Super Bowl. You understand it, but at the same time, it's been a lot of years, and it hasn't dissipated.
Right. No, he's the definition of a Raider. You talk about all these old guys when they get together for their alumni weekends and stuff like that, and they're such a tight-knit group, and he's the leader of that.
Amazing. All right. Well, we're going to step aside, pay some bills, and let you recover from the energy ball that was Phil Villapiano. You're listening to the Silver and Black Today here on CBS Sports Radio.
This is Silver and Black Today, live on CBS Sports Radio 1140.
Woo! Welcome back to the Silver and Black Today here on CBS Sports Radio 1140. As we catch our breath from the Phil Villapiano interview.
How great is Phil? He almost got my name right. It was so close this time.
Close. Hey, it's one letter. Come on. It was.
God bless him. I love him either way. You know, his story, he's so funny. Just listening to all of his old story. Every time I talk to him, you just hear more of these great old stories. But on a serious note, when he was talking about the Hall of Fame, he's a little too lighthearted to say anything negative about Al Davis. But I really think Cliff Branch, was saying what most players and front office personnel won't. The fact that Al Davis rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and it has an effect on the players, past and present, on and off the field.
I think that's true, and I think that's what Cliff said when he came and he spent time with us in the studio. But at the same time, I think that will dissipate over time. I think it's a cadre of East Coast folks who don't like Al Davis. There's still a lot of writers and media folk who are getting up there in years, and they soon will probably be gone, and then they'll get a chance. Because Al Davis, I think, with more time and appreciation, and I grew up hating the Raiders, right? But I never understood the scope until I got older and understood what he did to change the game,
right?
What he did to make sure his team got what he thought was the best. He was a true capitalist who wanted to do the best, wanted to win, wanted to make sure that he put his business in a position.
Well, he was a pioneer in those early days of the AFL, and he helped construct the NFL into the behemoth that it is today.
No doubt.
But with Al's success kind of came this cavalier attitude, and he just started playing by his own rules. And unfortunately, he upset the wrong people. And I think, Cliff was exactly right, that the powers that be are not going to go out of their way to be cordial with the Raiders.
No, but the only thing I disagree with what you said there was I don't think he tried to play by his own rules. I think he tried to make the NFL play by fair rules.
Right.
And fair to him, yes, it's defined by the person who's on the egregious party who's looking to right a wrong, but he held them accountable. And he didn't care if the other owners liked him. He was doing what was best for him, for Oakland and Los Angeles.
What he thought was best for the league as well.
Correct. I agree.
Yeah. I actually disagree with with the point that you think this is going to go away, because this isn't just an Al Davis thing. It's a Raider thing. And this bias and this view that people have, we saw more than anything a few days ago when Antonio Brown gets arrested and every headline says ex-Raider Antonio Brown.
Good point.
He played more games for the Patriots. The Patriots was the last team that he played for, and he's going to be known as a Steeler. But everybody said
he never played one game for the Raiders.
That's what I said.
Right. Not even a preseason game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He only played one game. I said he played more for the Patriots one game, so more than one would. Yeah, there you go. Good job, buddy. But all you saw were headlines: ex-Raider, ex-Raider, ex-Raider. So it's not just an Al Davis thing to where it's going to go on time. It's a Raider thing.
Well, I hear you on that. I think though that the reason I said that it may dissipate over time is the franchise itself. If it does well here in Las Vegas, it's sort of starting over from that perspective. But the Raider bias, we go back to the Ethical Skeptic report on the officiating, all that stuff. So I don't disagree with you, Kelly. I think on the vote though with the Hall of Fame, that's where I was more focused. I don't think the anti-Raider bias will go away, but I do think that over time they might have a better chance of getting in. And look, there was no argument against Flores and Branch that holds any water whatsoever. There's other guys you can argue. Plunkett's one of the guys you could argue against. Like we'll talk about Eli Manning, but we'll do that next segment, guys. So hold it right there. We first want to go to our segment every week at this time. And that, of course, is Kelly's segment, where Kelly always generates some great conversation with his deep thoughts. He's not quite Jack Handy. If you get that reference, then you're older. But
I am good enough, smart enough, and doggone it, well, nobody likes me.
Good. Another Saturday Night Live. All right, Kelly. Kelly's Corner. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, we mentioned the draft a little bit earlier, and I don't know if I might have mentioned this on this show or not, or it's probably something that I was just talking about in the bar. But I had the idea that if the Raiders have a chance to make a really big splash in this draft and not really do anything. I said it before, I'll say it now. I think the Raiders a couple weeks ago should have called the Detroit Lions about the third pick in the draft. Everybody on the planet knows that the Lions want to move out of there. They want somebody to move up. They want, they want more draft picks. They want to move down. And we saw it the last couple days. Anonymous source to move on from Matt Stafford, or they may trade Matt Stafford. I can give you 32 million reasons they will not trade Matt Stafford. A $32 million dead cap hit if they trade him. He's on the books for 21 this year. So it's another $11 million to move on to Matt Stafford against their cap. That will never happen. Everybody knows if Miami wants Tua, Tua is a Dolphin. They have enough trade capital to move up and to do anything they want. The Dolphins can do they can control the next 2 drafts if they want to. They have so much ammunition. So my idea was the Raiders make a phone call to the Lions, just get that started, say, hey, what's it going to take to get up to 3? What are we looking at? Here we go. One of 2 things could happen in that situation. The Lions obviously are going to go to Miami and say, hey, we've got somebody up here for 3. What are you going to give us? We want to move down. Miami could say, well, blow you out of the water with an offer, or say, we're not interested.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If A, they blow them out of the water with an offer, you're weakening an AFC opponent's future to build because you're taking away a lot of draft picks.
Yep.
If Miami's like, nah, we're good, then they get no other interest in that 3rd pick. Maybe the Raiders could move up to 3 a little cheaper than they thought and make that selection if they want. Drafting 2 at 3, having him sit for a year behind Carr, not a bad idea.
Right.
Because even if Carr finally gets it, that light comes on, and he has a really good season next year, you've got the ultimate trade chip. You have either Tua or a very improved Derek Carr. If you look at the landscape of the quarterbacks next year, chances are Drew Brees will be gone, and the Saints, they still have a Super Bowl window. Kirk Cousins' contract is done in Minnesota. They still think they have a Super Bowl window. The Bears will obviously decline the 5th-year option on Mitch Trubisky. They're going to need a quarterback. You have 2 options to trade that quarterback, and that's if the Lions make that trade, which I don't think it would even come to that because I don't think there's any way the Dolphins get out of this draft without Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. The Dolphins absolutely hold all the cards, and I'd love for the Raiders to move up and make a splash, do something big, and like you said, if anything, they get Chase Young.
Well, that was the thing. If they move up to 3 and then the Dolphins move up to 2, they fall into Chase Young.
Right.
I don't see that happening just for the pure and simple reason if the Dolphins are moving up, they're beating any offer the Raiders can possibly throw out at 3.
But what you say makes sense, and I think that part of the draft, there's some drafts that just don't change in that first round, right? But this is an opportunity where, again, it's not always about who you're going to pick sometimes. Sometimes it's about can you manipulate the draft enough that it's going to hurt someone in the conference, which helps you. The other thing, though, I want to say this because you bring it up, too, is why is Matt Stafford the blame of everything in Detroit, one of the worst organizations in all of pro sports?
He's the quarterback. It's the same thing with Derek Carr, right? He's the lightning rod.
Different though, because the Lions, Matthew Stafford, if you look at his numbers, what he's done, he's been fine with nothing. I mean, what are you going to do?
I think the only reason Stafford's catching all the blame the last couple of years is because of the back
Injuries?
injury.
Yeah.
That's the whole. Yeah, because Stafford was pretty much untouchable for the last few years because of the massive numbers he put up on trash football teams.
True.
And I think the injuries and his contract have kind of made it. It's the scapegoat now because the quarterback, they always get too much of the blame and too much of the credit.
Right.
But I think it's just the fact that he's been in. He played through a broken back through a couple games last year. The guy's doing everything he can. That's a bad organization. And the funniest thing coming out of the Senior Bowl, talking to friends of mine and stuff in the league that actually were down there, was they couldn't believe how poorly the practices were going with Matt Patricia. And they're like, no wonder this team's crap. He can't even run a Senior Bowl practice.
Wow.
What's
Well,
an NFL practice like?
As always, Kelly's Corner, entertaining and something to really think about. Just a good one. I had not thought about that strategy and how they could move up. Everybody else wants to have them move up to get a quarterback. Whether or not it happens, we'll see, but that's what makes the next few months very intriguing. Kelly, thank you so much. All right, we're going to step aside. When we come back, we'll close out the show. We'll talk a little bit more about Raider moves, the Senior Bowl, and does Eli Manning deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? Absolutely not. We'll talk about it when we come back. Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio 1140.
We're in conference play, and every game counts.
Harris drives through the lane. Euro step, left-hand shot for the lead is good.
Don't miss a single minute on the march to tournament time.
Tip follow, no. Battle at the rim. Drew's got it. Nevada wins.
Oh, my goodness.
You're home for Nevada Wolfpack basketball in Las Vegas. CBS Sports Radio 1140. Brought to you by Pro Group Management. Stream every game this season through the radio.com app. Just favorite CBS Sports Radio 1140.
The law office of Michael A. Troiano is a proud supporter of all things Las Vegas, including its people, specializing in legal representation for all criminal defense matters ranging from misdemeanors to the most serious felonies. Attorney Michael Troiano provides clients with the legal strategy and professional representation needed in court. If you or a loved one find yourself in a legal situation and need a tough defense on your side, Michael Troiano can help. Call now for a free consultation, 702-843-5500, or learn more at TroianoVegasLaw.com.
NASCAR crashes Las Vegas.
Big damage on Kurt Busch's car.
February 21st through 23rd.
Had a lot of smoke in the cockpit.
It's high stakes and insane speed at America's Racing Showplace.
He'll pinch Joey Logano to the middle groove.
Pennzoil 400 weekend tickets are going fast at lvms.com or call 800-644-4444.
Cash in big and leave Las Vegas a winner.
NASCAR's fastest weekend at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Listen up. In 2016, a New Mexico House seat was decided by only 2 votes out of almost 14,000.
In 2010, a state house race in Vermont was determined by 1 vote.
In 2002, a Connecticut House seat was determined by just 1 vote out of more than 6,000.
In 1994, a Wyoming state house seat vote ended in a tie. The winner, chosen at random, went on to become Speaker of the State House.
Your voice matters. Use it.
Go to letsfreethevote.org to learn more.
You found the most in-depth coverage of the Silver and Black. This is Silver and Black Today, live on CBS Sports Radio 1140. Here's your host, Scott Gobranson.
Welcome back to the home stretch here on the Silver and Black Today on CBS Sports Radio 1140. Don't forget to catch us Tuesday night, 6 to 7 p.m., Silver and Black Tonight. Chaz, Osborne, and myself. Kelly's too busy for us on that day, but he will always be with us in spirit, and he's with us here. Kelly Kreiner, Chaz Osborne in the studio with me here. All right, guys, let's have this conversation now because it's football related, but I also want to, and Chaz brought it up earlier, I also want to link it to a Raider story, and that is Eli Manning retired. And big news, of course, because he's in New York, and of course New York thinks everything revolves around it. And so Eli Manning retiring, he won 2 Super Bowls, so clearly it's news. It's definitely big news. The question now is, when you look at Eli Manning, the big debate this week has been, does he belong in the Hall of Fame? And I would argue that no. I would argue that Eli Manning had a very good career that had some amazing moments in it, and he will forever be loved by the Giants fans and New York for what he did, especially who he beat. But if you look at him overall as a player, 500 record, we know that, right? 117. Yep. Much like Jim Plunkett.
Mm-hmm. And Joe Namath.
In fact, yes, and Joe Namath came out in favor of Eli Manning, saying, hey, Eli Manning did a lot more than I did. And it's true. He did. If you look at that, Joe Namath was a time issue. Joe Namath was at the beginning of the NFL. He was an outlandish person for the time, so it created that aura, and he's in the Hall of Fame. But if you look at Eli Manning, the 500 record alone, but if you look at his record against the NFC's best teams over the course of his career, he's under 500 significantly in those games. If you look at Pro Football Reference, who does a Hall of Fame rating, well, I don't know how much that's worth, but they have him at about 82.87. The average Hall of Fame quarterback's at 103. Guys, when I look at Eli Manning, again, great career. I don't take anything away from the guy. I just don't see why people are just going nuts saying that he has to be in the Hall of Fame.
7th career passing, 8th in touchdown yards, over 50,000 passing yards, over 300 touchdowns. Everybody else that has done that is in the Hall of Fame. Now, all of these numbers are going to start to get skewed the way it is. You're going to see more and more of that. But as of right now, like I said, everybody's thrown for 50,000, 300s in there. He's part of that. 2 Super Bowls, MVPs, and he beat the best team of our generation. That's what everybody's going to hang your hat on if you think if Eli's a Hall of Famer. For me, the Hall of Fame, it's simple. When you say the name, there should be no doubt Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. If not, you're not a Hall of Famer.
Right.
But we know that's not how it is. Especially in the Basketball Hall of Fame, which if you've ever shot a basketball, you get on the ballot. I missed it by 7% last year. It's amazing how bad that is. There are people in the Basketball Hall of Fame I've never heard of. But like I said, but to me, I think he's going to get in for the simple reason he beat the undefeated Patriots. He has 2 Super Bowls, and his last name is Manning.
Yep, that's exactly right.
If you tell me that he shouldn't be in, I get it. If you tell me that he should be in, I get it.
So you're telling me though, no, and I know you're just making the argument. You're not saying it's definitely your belief, but the yards, the touchdowns. So quarterbacks, when they're considered for the NFL and the Pro Football Hall of Fame, longevity is what brought about those numbers, in my view. Wasn't greatness. You look at his record. He didn't win very much, as much as he could have. He didn't win against big teams except twice.
You can be a great quarterback, be on a bad team.
True.
And still
Dan
lose
Marino.
the game.
Well, but if you look at overall record and what he did, a lot of his numbers, I believe, are padded by longevity.
Yep.
Again, great career. I'm not taking anything away from him.
The most important ability in sports is availability.
Yep.
That, in my opinion, longevity should count for something.
It should definitely factor in.
If it's the anti-Gale Sayers argument.
So why isn't Joe Theismann in the Hall of Fame?
If you go look at Joe Theismann's stats, if Joe Theismann doesn't have his leg snapped on Monday Night Football, does anybody remember him?
Yeah, he won a Super Bowl. I mean,
he had the highest performing offense in one season in the history of the NFL.
Right.
He was the quarterback. So my point, though, to your point, you made the perfect point, Kelly, which is you're going to throw out all these numbers and you can find positives, negatives on both sides on why he should or why he shouldn't. And I guess, and you look at Jim Plunkett, whose numbers are very similar to in wins and losses, at least, and Super Bowls, as Eli Manning. Now, Plunkett was a journeyman before. He was a bust, and then he found his resurgence with the Raiders. Eli Manning was with one team, number 1 draft pick, made the smartest decision of his life by making sure he was traded from the Chargers.
Right.
It really was. And so you see that, but it's the Hall of Fame to me, the Football Hall of Fame is the worst because the criteria. Baseball, for example, one of my favorite players that played for the Padres and the Blue Jays, Fred McGriff. Great player. Does he deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? He's got over 500 home runs.
Dog.
How many people with over 500 home runs are not in the Hall of Fame? 1. Fred McGriff. Why? Well,
Barry Bonds.
Oh, Barry Bonds. Well,
Rafael Palmeiro.
Yes.
Sammy Sosa.
I'm not talking about the steroid guys. I'm talking about guys who played straight. But still, to your point.
You don't know that all those guys are steroid guys. They never popped for anything.
They all admitted it. All 3 of them admitted it.
You're making assumptions.
No, all 3 of them well, Barry didn't admit it, but
I was going to say Barry ain't admitted nothing.
But to your point, it's a great point, is that there are guys who have the numbers, and for whatever character issues or perceived drug use issues or whatever, they don't get in. So I think with the Eli Manning and with some of the Raiders like Jim Plunkett, Chad.
The Chad.
It's just to me, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, I've always thought of it as the worst Hall of Fame because so many people got in, and then there's other people who should be in without a question, i.e. Cliff Branch, who aren't even close to being in.
Right. Well, I don't know. I'm sick of talking about the Hall of Fame. I've said it already how many times. I don't need a committee to tell me how great these guys were. If you're from Minnesota or you're from Seattle, wherever you're from, and a couple of your guys aren't in, you don't care. You still love them no matter what. But it makes me think of when you talk about the Eli Manning not going to San Diego, it makes me think of the story. We know that situation where he kind of forced his trade. But before that, the John Elway situation, pretty similar. Elway's father didn't care for then Colts head coach Frank Kush, and
Devil.
He let it be known to the Colts that if they drafted John, he was just going to continue playing his career with the Yankees, which he was already playing in their minor league system. So Al Davis slides in there and offers Rod Martin and Lester Hayes for Elway, and the deal was agreed upon. Everything was a done deal. And then Pete Rozelle called up Colts and said, you can trade John Elway to anybody but the Raiders.
You don't believe that, do you?
Yeah,
I've
100%.
Oh, good God.
So that goes back to the talking about the Al Davis and the abrasive relationship he had with Pete Rozelle.
And I believe your deal was a little off because Howie Long was originally in there, and then someone else, and they took out Howie.
Okay, I'm sure you weren't in the room, and I'm sure you weren't on the telephone conversations. However many books you've read and however many books I've read, the story can go back and forth either way.
But you were, so you're
I'm just telling you what I've read and what I've heard from other players.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what it is.
Yeah, so originally, it doesn't matter who's involved.
Originally, the Colts wanted Howie Long and someone else.
Fine.
And that was the whole thing. They said the Raiders were like, no, and that's the story.
Yeah, but it was agreed upon with Lester Hayes and Rod Martin.
Yeah, but you honestly
but
think
Al Davis never admitted
that.
that.
But you can trade him anywhere but the Raiders. You honestly
I believe that, yeah. Pete Rozelle and Al Davis
all right,
we're not very friendly.
I love this disagreement. I wish we could go on for another half hour with this one. This would be fun. But no, Al Davis, who was very open, has never in his lifetime actually told that story in public. But we'll see. I mean, the anti-Raider bias is believable. But with the Hall of Fame stuff, with Eli Manning, I agree he'll get in because it's New York and he won the 2 Super Bowls against the Patriots, like you said. It's going to happen. But at the same time, I hope that they consider other guys who are as worthy to being in there as well. So,
and the big problem with the Hall of Fame, what everybody needs to realize, it's a museum for your sport.
Yeah, true.
And that's what I think gets
But
lost
it's also
in all
validation
this.
of a career.
Well, no, that is for the players. But I'm talking about for the NFL. They need to realize this is a museum about your
appeal
sport.
to people, right?
You know, this is for the masses.
Yep.
You know, baseball keeping out the steroid guys, football keeping out a guy like Flores and stuff like that. It's like you're telling the history of your sport in this building. You need to realize that and think about that when you're making these decisions.
Amen. Kelly Kreiner, thank you. Chaz Osborne, thank you. As always, appreciate our guest, Phil Villapiano, as well. We'll be back with you Tuesday, 6 to 7 p.m. for Silver and Black Tonight. We'll be back here, Super Bowl Sunday, for Silver and Black Today. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you next time.